That's some noisy audio that I need to balance. Oh, that's better. Right, well, welcome to Rimworld and the Ideology Update. I'm Caroline. I am a huge Rimworld fan. I love Rimworld, and I was super excited about getting this Ideology Update and starting a new colony. As you can see, it looks like we've got a nice little corner to get started in here. Put a couple of little bed spaces down. Everyone knows where they're going to sleep. Key thing with the Rimworld always when you're starting is not to, well, basically keep it paused for as long as you possibly can before you really start to get going. I like to start building a reasonable space because you're going to end up having to build something for your fire, your production space, your research table pretty early on. So a reasonable space that can be the start of the base. We've got 3 people here. Now, I will be honest with you, I am not recording the voiceover live. I recorded my play solidly, completely, but I'm now watching it back and recording the voiceover. And there's one problem with that I'm discovering, which is that it's a wee bit blurry, so I can't read everybody's name, but I don't want to spoiler anything for you, you know, sort of by going, oh, is that so-and-so? And it turns out to be a colonist from later on. Shock. But anyway, let's just watch what's going on here. Now look at this. Look at this confidence of Caroline here. Early game, getting a wind turbine down. And if you're playing the basic level, then you might as well do that. Questions about what mods I've got on, I am going to make sure the entire mod list is available, so that should be in the description. But if you're looking at some of these things and going, whoa, I didn't realise that update 1.3 had added this, it might be because I've got it in a mod. So, to be clear with what's going on, well, actually right now what's going on is the little tip for you there. Your wind turbine won't function properly if trees grow in front of it or behind it. So I always like to put my little growing patches in front and behind the turbine, because then that actually stops trees growing and keeps everything working nicely. This update, so there's 2 updates that we've got here with Rimworld. There's the 1.3 update and there's the Ideology DLC. So some of the changes are from the fact that it's 1.3, some of the changes are from the fact that it's Ideology. I've also got Royalty DLC running at the same time. Marking out a fridge there. That's my first little thing. I like digging into the rocks. I like to choose a map spot that has as many rocks and mountainy bits as you can have before you get to having caves. Caves I find really annoying because the spiders come and attack you, and it's very difficult to get people to not wander off in there by accident, and all sorts of things go wrong. But I like to have stuff to build into. This, I have no idea what this was when I loaded up. I still don't actually really. It's an ancient warwalker shell. And that description now has actually been updated. I noticed there was a small update in the last few days, and it now says destroy if you want to, or something along the lines of if you want to collect stuff from this, destroy. Still haven't figured out how to do that, but we'll get to that. I'm jumping ahead. So marking out my dumping store and general store. Early game, that's all you want. 1 supply area, 1 dumping stockpile zone. And now, fly, my pretties. So here we have Rebecca, who, again, you know, I don't want to spoil her, but I feel like I could say to you that Rebecca's very much going to become the heart of this colony. We've got Kina, who is the person who can actually shoot, so is getting a decent gun. And we've got Gumpy. Gumpy, who is not called Grumpy, however much it may look like Grumpy. That is just Gumpy. It's really important to get everybody chopping down trees straight away, because at this stage you're just going to be using wood for everything, and you're never going to have enough of it. Sadly, I don't seem to have anybody who's any good at chopping trees down quickly, so we can all watch for hours while Gumpy slowly chops away at this. Come on, Gumpy, get on with it. Hey! And now he's wandering off to vomit. Lovely. Of course, they do have space sickness from the having crash landed on the thing, but yeah, that's some serious vomiting, Gumpy. You want to get that checked out. It's not cool. It's not cool, dude, at all. It's really weird watching it back and not having control over the camera. I keep wanting to see what's... Hey, there you go. I was like, I wonder what's going on up there. And of course, past me was also wondering that. So this screen is totally changed, the wildlife screen. There's now extra columns, which weirds me out, because I can't quite work out what looks different, but I know it looks different than it used to. But also, the amount of danger from the animals has completely changed. Like, I know ibex does and ibex rams used to have like a 2% chance of attacking you. A couple of other things on there used to, but well, hey, more wildlife to hunt, so dragging it down. You missed one there, Caroline. Do I genuinely not notice I missed that alpaca? You're just going to keep going past that. There you go. Nice one. Right. What next? The work schedule. Okay, so obviously you can leave it on manual automatic priorities and not do this manually, but frankly I think the entire skill in playing this game is getting this, and I know that some of my scheduling decisions are sometimes a little controversial. I'm a little heavy on the what. Oh, we're going to have to lower the sound volume on the hunting, aren't we? Otherwise that's going to be unbearable. Yeah, and as I was saying, like, I'm a little heavy on the ones. I think I mark too many things as priority 1, but kind of what I try and do is have everything up to a certain point as priority 1. And later on, when you've got more colonists, you can say, okay, your job is hunting, your job is cooking, your job is constructing. This stage, we need all hands on deck, really. One thing I do is I force everybody to mine whether they like it or not. It's not skilled labour, they may be slow, but they'll get there eventually, and they'll get better at it. So you see Rebecca's being assigned to doing handling. We've got Keena, who's clearly there for the construction. And Gumpy, what is your role in all of this? Rebecca's a bit of a good all-rounder is the thing. Like, Rebecca can doctor, Rebecca can handle, Rebecca can cook, Rebecca can hunt and construct. There's pretty much nothing Rebecca can't do. She was a great find. This is... I don't know why I didn't record the choosing of the colonists, but it was all legit. I haven't used prepare carefully. I've just gone... That's what I'm going to choose out of the ones that were provided. Similarly with the ideology options that were provided to me, you could see, I think I posted them on Twitter. I've just used out of the ones that were random genned, and I went for what is essentially a very sort of centrist liberalism type approach. And it was because all the other ones that were available to me at the time I felt were deeply unfair because they said women had to wear more clothes than men. I've kind of realised over time that what it was actually was just saying is that women should cover their boobs as well as their genitals, and that men can walk around topless. And, you know, we could have a feminist discussion about that. Is it okay for men to walk around topless? Is it okay for women to walk around topless? There's a lot of different opinions there, but what I didn't like was the inequality of treatment there. So I went for the one ideology that allowed both men and women to walk around topless, essentially, which is weird. What are these? These are these weird things. So this is new as well. There's new weird things lying around in the landscape, like an ancient shopping cart. And I, at first, had no idea what these were going to be about, so I just pointed at them, claiming what I could, and then being puzzled by anything I couldn't claim. It takes me much longer than it should have done to realise that I can deconstruct these things. Is that me going, oh, it says deconstruct? No, not yet. Haul Urgently is obviously a mod. Haul Urgently is one of those mods that I cannot live without, because there is a difference between food going rotten in the rain that needs to be got immediately and stuff that, you know, some stones that can wait till later. So having haul urgently to just say, oi, get your shit together, guys, and that's always set as the #1 priority for most of my colonists, unless somebody's really important and I don't want that to happen. What are you doing now, Caroline? Oh yeah, we've also got Dub's Bad Hygiene on, which I like because it gives this layer of immersion to the game. Like, people do need water and toilets and stuff like that. Early game, if you're playing with Dub's Bad Hygiene though, you don't need to worry about it. Just put a wooden latrine in, like I'm doing right now with a store door, and a primitive well. And that will keep people happy. Like, they've got a toilet that they can use in privacy, and they've got a well to wash their hands in, and genuinely that's basically all anybody needs, isn't it? Later on there will be more exciting things to do with it, but yeah, see, now I'm getting antsy about my food, so that's why I'm trying to tell Gumpy to get on with building that. Come on, Gumpy. The little Yorkshire Terrier there. You always land with a pet. I have come across an ideology in this game now where the Yorkshire Terrier is their sacred animal, which I thought was unusual, but you know. We have power! We have noisy power. It's interesting, the recording of this has made the game noise so much louder than I usually hear it. It's like, wow, have I always got that noise going in the background and I just don't even know it? Definitely going to be turning all the sound down. Like right now, in case I turn it down so much you can't hear it, there's like a constant drone coming from the wind turbine since it got put together, and I swear I have never noticed that in like 800 hours of Rimworld play. Sorry, there's a squirrel, IRL, outside my door. When you've been playing a lot of Rimworld, you're like, oh no, it's a man-hunting squirrel. It's not, it's fine. Perfectly innocent squirrel. It's nighttime in Rimworld. So, I'm going to try and edit these out as I go along. Obviously this isn't one of them, but there are lots of periods in Rimworld where, you know, if everyone's sleeping or everything's going along nicely, I probably looked at my phone, probably went and got a glass of water, probably wandered off at some point. And, yeah, I've probably got at least a couple of hours of dead footage. So we're going to try and smooth that out. But other than that, my plan is to make this a series, a constant series, so you can see the whole playthrough of this Rimworld colony, and the story of what happens to Rebecca and Keena and Gumpy after they've landed on this forsaken land, trying to set out their own little vision of a liberal paradise in the middle of space. Even when they can't work out how to chop down a tree. There you go. If it's not fully grown, you can't chop wood, you've got to cut plants. My pitching level of this is I'm assuming that you're somebody who might have played Rimworld, but I'm not going to assume you are an absolute expert and understand how everything works in Rimworld. So if there's anything I'm doing that's a wee bit, you know, advanced, I might explain it. If there's anything that I don't explain that you're like, why the hell did you do that? Tweet me! Message me! I'm all over the socials. So, the day-to-day life of Rimworld Colony. Jeez, that shooting is too loud. It's like, it's so noisy with the shooting and the generator that it's really unbearable. Anyway, it's alright, I'm gonna cope with it for the sake of the viewers. Now, so one of the other mods that I've got running here is wall lights, which is like a tiny little mod, but I'm sorry, I'm not giving up space in my colony so that a whole square has to be taken up by a torch or a light or whatever. So yes, I like to have these little wall lights because you can attach them to the wall like you can with a real light and not take up an entire square's worth of space. I'm really pleased that the update allows you to make sleeping spots specifically medical for animals, because I've had that before where once you've got a little stable or something like where you're keeping your animals living in a particular thing, I often want them to have the medicine bed nearer the medicine. That was a big bang. And so it's quite useful to know that you can... I can't do voiceover while they're hunting, it's terrible. Anyway, yeah, so the bed's cool. I see now as well that the meals are split into vegetarian and carnivore. So, but not simple vegetarian and carnivore. So if somebody's a vegetarian or a carnivore, they have to have fine or lavish meals, which is not ideal, really. I think everybody can just... Because in the past, like, colonies have just been happy forever with simple meals. I often don't even bother with lavish and fine, but of course the royalty update encourages you to do that anyway, so I suppose in the grand scheme of things it's not the worst. What are you gonna do, hey? Apparently shoot a lot of animals. See, rapidly, the space I have in there is already not too much, but I don't think at this stage it's worth sorting out somebody to mine. I also suspect that I have wandered off. Oh no, I'm back. There we go, I was looking at my phone clearly. Okay, cool. That is because I've got the mod on for guests. Visitors and guests are really cool with the mod because not only do they come by and you can trade with them, you can charge them for beds, you can set up a shop for them. If you get friendly with a lot of them, they'll keep coming back, they might even join your colony. I really like it, improves relations with them. I'm a big fan of the hospitality mod, so that's on, but early on it'll say, oh, they're not sure about entering, and I just say, wait until I've got guest beds. So that means now nobody's going to bother me about those sort of guests until I've got guest beds set up, which is going to be a way down the line, because as you can see, my poor 3 colonists are just huddling in the dark. The cold dark, sleeping on the floor. It's mean, there's so much leather there, I could have made them some sleeping bags, that would have been like the nice thing to do. Need warm clothes, yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. What are you doing there, Caroline? What are you trying to achieve? Moving the mouse around a bit. Ah, yeah, too much junk inside. Oh no, I know what I'm doing. That latrine is going to need emptying at some point, so that is one other thing with Dove's Bad Hygiene, is you need to choose where they're going to put the fecal sludge. The charmingly named fecal sludge. So that square that I've marked down the bottom left to be mined out, that's where I'm going to be building my fridge. So get my cooler in there. No, that's the wrong way around. That would blow heat into the fridge and cold air out, which is not what you want. Good thing is I'm going to realise that in a second. Yeah. Cancel. Do it again. That's the way. You want the blue cold air blowing into the fridge, the red air blowing out. Ooh, it's a mad squirrel. So, my strategy, I was going to say early game, but frankly late game as well, is whenever anything bad happens, I restrict everybody to inside. So you need to be setting up an area, clearly defining what that area is, remembering that as you expand your colony, you need to expand that area because you'll forget inevitably. And then generally it's best to rename that area as inside, because then you can just set everybody to stay indoors in this case, apparently not inside, and your animals, or your little Yorkshire Terrier. Oh no, I was debating whether I should set him to stay inside or not, because in the update notes it said that raids won't attack your animal, which I thought was interesting, because in the past I've always had raiders go straight for my pets. So I was wondering, maybe I should leave the Yorkshire Terrier out as an experiment. There's the deconstruct button, Carolyn. But then I thought a mad squirrel might still attack a Yorkshire Terrier. So now, this is very poor work here. While I've set them to go indoors, they're not behind a door. And they're flirting, essentially, so that's not much use to us right now. I like to keep any armed colonists on attack rather than flee, because otherwise you just spend ages chasing them around and stuff. I think it's better that they default to attack. But we're just going to draft Rebecca here. That wasn't Rebecca, sorry, was it? I always think everything's Rebecca, that was Keena. But it's, yeah. Oh, back to cloud watching. Kill the squirrel. Now I'm going to do a bit of cloud watching. You'd think, you know, there's a lot of places you could cloud watch from there. Like, you could cloud watch in a nice big open space, but no, just going to lie in that entrance there. It's fine, totally normal. It's all fine. Now Rebecca's busy cooking. Gumpy's slowly clicking away at that. Oh, now the most important thing, obviously, is that your colonists have some sort of entertainment. And the classic horseshoes pole is good entertainment, but I think they got bored of it faster. I've never seen them that get that bored that fast of it, but it's always a good thing to get down first. Yeah, I'm trying to get, you can see I'm just desperately trying to get that fridge going as quickly as possible, because look at all that food! Look at all that food that's in the fridge. What? Construction botched? Come on. Get your shit together, Gumpy. Set it to, I usually set it to like -1 or 2. Yeah. Because look at all that food in that fridge. It is, that's not in that fridge, sorry. Like, that going off would be a crime. That is extremely useful amounts of food. So we've set that now so that it's definitely the fridge area. I'll set it to keep food and nothing else. Although I might have gone on to try and put something like, yeah, I know me. What? Just because later on when I decide to get into beer making, I always find that I can't get it out of there. And some of the drugs work better if you keep them in the fridge as well. Yeah. There's some advanced work going on here. Well done, Past Caroline. And so we want to keep animal corpses, and we want them to not be rotting. But we also kind of want to keep human corpses, maybe. Sometimes. It depends. Basically, if one of my colonists die, I like to think that maybe one day I might find a Resurrector mech serum, and so I try and keep them in the fridge. And if you put them in a, what do you call it? Not like a mausoleum, but like a small version of that, like a sarcophagus type thing. If you build one of those in your fridge and put your colonist in it, then people don't get upset seeing the corpse every time. And if you find a Resurrector mech serum, you can bring them back. And they're normally okay if you got them in the fridge pretty quickly. Spike traps there, just setting those up. That's your standard defense if you're going to do the hiding indoors thing. Because if you hide indoors and you've got spike traps, then whatever is coming for you will generally just fade away. Apparently. I got distracted there, sorry. Yeah. So, spike traps coming together nicely. Bit concerned that the fridge hasn't actually got access to it yet. You know, might want to manually go and make somebody mine that, Caroline, but you know. Well, clearly you know what you're doing. I suppose the spike traps are important as well. Aha! I love this bit, is when, like, if your colony's been running, like, basically for like 3 days or something, you get to name it, and I think the randomising is really good in Rimworld. Like, they normally provide nice randomisy things. I mean, you can overthink it, you can spend days coming up with your fancy names. And obviously, like, sometimes in the past I've used mods like Prepare Carefully to sort of create
my own little imaginary worlds. I think sometimes, like, if you're not attached to your colonists, then it makes Rimworld less fun. And so sometimes I've done things like made characters out of my favourite TV shows as my 3-starring colonists using Prepare Carefully, and so then obviously you've got, like, you know, I've done Buffy, Willow and Xander before, and so they've had to live in, obviously, Sunnydale. And I think I called, the grouping was the Scooby Gang, obviously. Anyway, finally, somebody's actually... Yes, you see, we need the fridge. Get the entrance to the fridge open. Go on. And my storage space is rapidly running out. The thing is, you gather so much quickly at the beginning that it's like, I need somewhere to keep it all. Where am I going to put this? And then you want to get the door on that fridge ASAP. Or, you know, just all go to sleep. That's fine as well. Snoozy time. The thing is like putting it on 3. Sleeping time's never that much of a problem. It becomes morning pretty darned quickly. Also, sometimes I just draft them at 4 AM to make them wake up and get on with it. But obviously that doesn't put them in the best moods. Now this might be one of those ones where I wandered off. No? Or have I? Well, we'll find out in a minute. Oh, no, that's a classic Rimworld problem. Putting food in the door of the fridge, yeah. It's like, don't do that. That's going to let all the cold air escape, all the heat in, and the fridge basically becomes completely worthless. So it's like, looks like, oh yeah, I finally got the food in the fridge. Nope. Oh, what's this? The real problem is that the screen I'm doing the recording the voiceover on, I can see it perfectly well, but I can't quite read what the things down the right hand side say. They're a little bit blurry. So that looks to me like Wild Man members it? That's probably not what it says. Oh no, that's a raid. I know what that is. I know all about that. And what? It's an interesting response to a raid here from past Caroline. She's decided to just tell them to mine some more. But that's because I wanted to give them bedrooms. And this isn't out of like, you know, oh, my poor colonists, they deserve bedrooms. It was basically just like, I haven't got enough storage space right now. I'd like some more storage space. Mining into caves and walls and stuff, it's like, it's a bit of a mixed blessing because, you know, it's great that you'll get automatically stone built walls and safety. See there, I'm just making sure the inside area includes all the bits that we want while we hide away from the raid. But it takes a long time to mine into the stone. It's not a quick thing, especially because I never choose somebody who's good at mining. It's like, that's not a thing I look for in my colony, which really I should, because that's normally what I do first off. So I'm making sure everybody's inside. Yes, have I done that? Have I? There you go. And put the little doggy inside as well. Pro tip, don't right click clear your envelopes for things, because when you hover over them you get that nice arrow that shows you where it is. Oh, it was a wild man wanders in, that's it. There's a wild man there. You can tame them. It's not easy though, you need somebody who's got really high animal skills. But that wild man Locust looks like he's got some pretty good stats. Ooh, is it a good idea? Is it a good idea? Are you going to ask? Yes, let's tame him. But, like, obviously not during a raid. Ah, now this is the idea. This is, oh, his ideology is the supreme vine. There they've got a few problems there. Slavery being one of them. This is these ideologies. This is at this stage I'm just getting the hang of like, what does this mean? What do these things mean at all? And like, what do they benefit your colony with, etc. When you start, your first 3 colonists have all got the same ideology, so it's like, does this mean that I can't, if I tame them, is this going to be a problem? Spoiler alert. Not really. Slightly, but not really. Once you start getting people into the colony who are different ideologies, you can... Basically, they're going to have buffs and debuffs based on things you're doing, as are your colonists. So, like, this person's going to be unhappy because there's not slaves, but they're not going to, necessarily be so unhappy that they can't function day to day. They might just be sitting there slightly whimsically going, oh, really wish there was some slaves. And you can do other things to balance out, usually to keep them happy, but we'll have to get a bit later game to discuss conversion options. Ooh, Chinese fireball. For those of you who haven't seen the ideology update yet, this is your main big new screen of the sort of that shows you what people with that ideology want. Also further down you've got things like what type of furniture they like, what type of animals they like, and the sort of festivals available to them, which is pretty cool. I'm enjoying the festivals quite a lot. I like the fact that you can sort of set off a lantern and do things like that. So the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that I've also got the setting on that shows the real-world clock on the screen, which means that you can tell when I've had to edit out a bit because I've wandered off from the computer. Ah, look, I'm back. Caroline's back now, and is... sometimes when you're playing this game, that could have been I went out to go and get some food out of the oven, I'm guessing, about that time of night. But, I don't live alone. Sometimes you're just talking to people. Sometimes the world's just there. Sometimes I'm just looking at my phone, to be honest with you. There's a lot of reasons why I've wandered off. And that's kind of one of the things I really love about Rimworld. I don't like games you can't pause. I don't like games that are constant in well, no, that's an exaggeration. Like, there's a time and a place for them. Obviously, sometimes playing a really intense game is, like, amazing and can be sort of huge adrenaline rush and great fun. But day-to-day gaming, I'm a middle-aged woman. I want something that I can pause. Now you'll see here that I came back and forgot that I was in the middle of a raid. And I've sort of just let it happen there and gone, oh shit, what's going on here? And now I've wandered off so much that I can tell you, I remember now, I didn't even notice this happened. You see how the camera's not following the fact that one of my colonists has just been kidnapped there. And this is actually where the recording of this became really useful, because when I did realise, I was able to come back and watch that and go, what the hell happened? Also, why didn't it pause? I have it set on pause on like all events, like the maximum. Basically, you set the game so that if something bad happens, it should pause when you've wandered off. And I've got it on the highest setting for that. I may have to put the mod for more pause events back on, because it just doesn't seem to be pausing on some things. It's like, pretty sure. Yeah? Hang on. What's worse here is I've come back, and I haven't noticed that I've only got 2 colonists. I've gone, oh, let's have a look at my mods. As I say, I'm going to try and make sure that the description has all the mods listed, but, you can have a look there. The ones that have the crosses are obviously the ones that I don't have on. Oh, that was it. I was getting annoyed that I didn't have invisible conduits on. I was like... But, no, I wasn't getting annoyed. I was... Yeah. Who knows? I'm going to stop trying to recreate the past. Let's just watch. And it is at this point, if reader, that past Caroline suddenly realised, hang on, why have I only got 2 colonists? What happened to my 3rd colonist? And I literally had to go back and watch the video. So yeah, there's always a bit of a danger. Because early game, this is a serious blow. The change from 3 colonists to 2 colonists is like, what? That's a massive problem that I have to deal with. Because, obviously, I've already forgotten her name. Because she's gone then, but she was an important part of the colony. I'm left with Rebecca and Gumpy. And let's be honest here, right? Rebecca is the stalwart. Rebecca is the person who's going to keep me going through the next few hours. Whereas Gumpy is bloody useless, and frankly, I think I'm still punishing him for it days later. So, on realising the seriousness of my situation, how do I cope? How do I decide to fix this? You know what, I still think I hadn't realised at that point. There was a big pause there where I sort of I had to just cut out another bit where I'd wandered off. I think I was obviously very distracted at this point. Because now the recording cuts out to a different recording. So I think, yeah, that was me going back, rewatching, and going, what the hell? Anyway, this is now me having... Apparently I then really was salty because there was a big bit to cut out after that, so where I just had paused it and left it. But I'm back now. I'm back and I'm ready to go. Okay, how do I deal with this colony now that I've got 2 people? I've got Rebecca and Gumpy. Gumpy's on a major extreme break risk. This is a real problem because, just when people are on an extreme break risk, you're going to have the issue of them doing things like throwing tantrums, smashing up some of your very small, tiny colony that you have at this stage, eating all your food, starting a fight with somebody else. You want happy colonists. One of the things I really am enjoying about this update, by the way, is the colour-coded mood bars. I've always had the mod on that does colour-coded mood bars, but I don't have that mod updated, and it seems to be doing it, so I'm presuming this is now part of the game, which is great, because you see at the top of the screen when you've got your little box that shows you what's going on with your colonists. Oh, it's an insulting spree. Okay, Gumpy's on an insulting spree. I mean, we knew that was going to happen, we knew he wasn't happy. But the problem is that, well, the good stroke bad things is they get cheerier. Once they've had their little tantrum, it tends to clear them out. But the insulting spree, in turn, upsets the other colonists, so then you've got other grumpy colonists, and it all goes a little bit pear-shaped. But yeah, the colour-coded mood bars, as I say, they used to always have a mood bar behind them, the little boxes at the top, but they weren't colour-coded, and it was kind of hard to see, especially on a larger colonist, what type of mood they were in. So the fact that that's now standard as part of the game is really good, because, yeah, I always had the mod on. It's just easier when you see, a red box round them, or as you see at the moment, Gumpy's got that yellow. That's not good. I mean, Rebecca's not doing great, but she's alright. She's okay. I mean, at this point, I was feeling a little desperate. It's this is the sort of thing where your Rimworld colony can go. If you go down to 2 colonists too early on, it's so easy for you to lose your entire colony. And I was like, great, well, this is going to be a nice short video for gaming the system. This is going to be the end of my colony pretty soon. But spoiler alert, something else happens. It's not really a spoiler, is it, to say something happens? So, they've now had a fight because of the insulting spree. So now I've got 2 colonists, both in bad moods, both of them injured. Only one of them, Rebecca, of course it's Rebecca. Rebecca's brilliant. Rebecca's the one who can do doctoring. So she's going to have to self-tend, which is always a bit of a like, ooh. I mean, it's not that bad, but you wouldn't want to have to take out your own appendix, would you, know? Oh, look at Rebecca there. I think it's one of the mods I have, by the way, that means that the colonists tend to clean an area before they start doing something. So, like, they don't clean the whole place, but if they're about to cook, they'll clean any mess that's within something like 6 squares. Same with doctoring, which is good because it reduces the chance of contaminated food, infections, you know. Real world logic, to some extent. I'm just enjoying the peaceful cicada noises. Oh, nice. Oh, it stopped. Okay. And here comes the dawn. That was weird. Just get up and clean one little bit. Ooh. That's a sign that you need more power. Oh, of course, they're all going to stay in bed now because they're healing. And again, I do have it set so that people should stay in bed and heal, but Rebecca has to also look after Gumpy, tend, and that's putting her on a major break risk now. So Gumpy's over his major break risk, but is Rebecca going to start throwing some sort of tantrum now? Only time will tell. Yeah, storage zone. Need more space, but you know, it's daytime. Both my colonists are lying in bed recovering from a social fight. Nobody's really doing a lot of mining, digging, building, any of that stuff. That's just not happening. Getting up and going to the toilet because she's got to self-tend anyway, so. So these are a new type of quest. Travellers needing something. Or alms, and there's alms for the poor. It was in Robin Hood, the Disney animated film. I first came across that. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, you get people turning up basically wanting something, and if your ideology is big on charity, then it goes down well doing it. Kind of hoping you might get some sort of karma benefit for it. So far I haven't. Oh, what now? Oh, Rebecca's on a food binge. Well, we knew that there was going to be some sort of consequence for her extreme break, but the worst thing about that means is that Rebecca's not doing any work right now, and Rebecca is the best worker in the colony. No offence, Gumpy. Actually, a lot of offence, Gumpy. It's your low mood that messed all this up. I mean, some could say it could have been the fact that I wandered off and didn't notice I was being raided, and that one of my people got kidnapped. Might have been what did the problem, but really I think we all know it was Gumpy's fault. So Rebecca on a food binge is now going to eat all our meals. Hopefully not. But as you see, she is basically eating one, wandering off, coming back, eating another. That's, you know, that's fine. That would have fed the entire colony for, 2 days or something like that. Love mega sloths. That thing wandering around the bottom there, that's a mega sloth. They are terrifying. Ooh, transport pod crash. Now, that suggests to me that Caroline's wandered off from the screen again. Because transport pod crashes are brilliant opportunities to rescue people and make them part of your colony. And at this stage, I am absolutely effing desperate for another person in my colony. And the fact that all... Oh, hello, she's back. Yeah, that person's probably bled to death by now. Could have got there a bit faster, couldn't you? Gumpy to the rescue. Now, rescuing them when they aren't from like an enemy faction or something is fine because you've got beds. If they are from an enemy faction, you need them. Oh, what? Oh, that's fine. That's just the ancient evil. So I'm not sure if it's all maps. I've heard rumour that it's not all maps, but on most maps there is somewhere that's got a pretty walled-in structure. And when your colonist goes near it, it'll say "Ancient Danger," and basically inside there are a whole load of people in crypto-sleep caskets and some possible other threats, and you don't know what until you get in there. And so basically opening it up is a big fight, but sometimes you get cool things out of it. Sometimes you get some more pot colonists out of it, but you don't know. But it's not something that's going to be taken on anytime soon, especially with two people who are both in bad mood. Although actually no, their moods have improved now. Gumpy and Rebecca looking, yeah, okay. We can take on the world. We can do this. We miss Keena. Is that her name? Or was it Dina? Anyway. The one who got kidnapped. It's a bit sad, but, we're starting to cope together. You get low-level... People who've got low-level plant will botch harvests, but if you're growing enough, it generally works out. And I just think, yeah, people who aren't good at things will make mistakes, but they get better. It's like real life, You shouldn't just stop somebody doing something because they make mistakes. They'll make it one day. They'll become the greatest plant cutter of them all. Gumpy shall be the king of rice, the man who can take rice from any... Yeah, I'm just babbling shit now, sorry. It wasn't going anywhere. What next? Oh, look at Rebecca go now. Now she's had a little breakdown. Now she's back on form. Now she's gathering food, she's cooking things, she's speedy. Look, see, these two, a while ago we thought that they weren't actually going to be able to survive as a colony. And now they're saving a space traveller. They're gathering in their harvest into their tiny, tiny fridge, which needs to get bigger rapidly. It's like expanding it square by square. Well worth that early harvest, just getting, day one, getting some planting zones down, because this is usually a point where you do need a big boost of food, and so it's like, yep, all sorted, all good. And I think one of the reasons that, quite often I walk off from Rimworld and forget about it is because for me, the joy of the game is when you get everything running so smoothly. And I'm aware that that's not right now, because, I haven't even got any power going to my fridge, and there's a piece of food blocking the doorway. But when you have got everything running so smoothly that you can just wander off and leave it, it's bliss. It's like you've created this little self-running magical colony that can look after itself based on the instructions you've given them and the work schedule you set. It's a joy. It's a wonder to watch. Also, any time that things are quiet in Rimworld, any time it's like, everything's peaceful, everything's... Just notice the dog there is like, kind of did me a favour by eating the food that's blocking the door, but... Yes, we'll get to animals later. I don't know, I feel like I get a Yorkshire Terrier more often than not as my random animal at the start. And frankly, I'd rather not start every game with a Yorkshire Terrier. So I started looking at the fact that basically they're a little upset because they don't have a moral guide. And these roles that exist within ideologies, I'm not sure yet about it. Like, not as in like it's a good idea or not, they're great, but I'm not sure about like the best strategies for who to appoint and when to appoint. Because first of all, if you do appoint somebody as a spiritual leader, a council of war, there's all sorts of different things that you can come up, then they're gonna, it's like the royalty, they're gonna want certain items of clothing, they might need some sort of room to practice their beliefs from, all that sort of stuff. But also, do they need to be good at social? It's like if you're a moral leader, you kind of think like maybe you should be good at social, but maybe you don't have to be. And right, so this is basically, by this point, I've already decided Rebecca's my favourite colonist. And so I'm like, well, if I have to choose an ethical leader, then surely it's going to be Rebecca, because Rebecca is the stalwart of this. But, as you can see, her social skills leaving a little bit to be desired. Gumpy has no social skills, though, so it's not like it's going to be him anyway. And also, you know, I don't like Gumpy. I love Rebecca. She is the heart of the colony. So, there's a lot of looking at menus, a lot of strategizing. I think one of the things that, like, intimidates people when they first start playing Rimworld is how many of these little menus there are and things, but you've got to see them, one, as they're there to help you. Anything you click on will, like, you know, it'll link you to what it is. If you hover over it, it'll tell you more about it. It's actually really useful. Also, in the menus down the bottom, like the furniture and stuff now and the storage, there's a new search bar function, which is brilliant, because, like, God, the number of times I spent hours trying to think. So here comes the warning saying, like, are you sure you want to do this? Because yada yada yada. As it says, sometimes it's better to wait for your colony to be more established. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it now. But I'm thinking about it. I mean, for starters, she needs a mask and a cape. So maybe it's time to get a tailor's bench. But where are you going to put it, Caroline? Like, seriously, look at that. There's no space yet. We need more space. Need more colonists. Now is not the time. Yeah. Ah, that's what you're making space for. But you realised that actually, research is important, and yeah, the research, it always feels like a waste if you've got somebody researching, because they're just literally, it's almost intangible because they're standing at a desk just actually, there's a new animation for research, which is pretty cool, and as soon as somebody starts researching you can have a look at that. But I can see why sometimes it's like, do I want to leave somebody there just researching, shuffling paper, faffing around? But if you don't do it, then you're not going to get better. So for example, at the moment my main problem is I don't have any batteries. And, well, lots of people take different approaches with electricity. So I kind of use a battery almost as a gauge. I only ever really have one battery because I've got this superstitious belief, and it is superstitious, that the more batteries you have, the more likely you are to have a zut event. And a zut is when your power blows up and starts a fire, which is a right pain in the neck because, nobody needs random fires starting in their colony. Anyway, so I tend to have one battery, but I like the battery because basically when you have really small levels of power like this, she's going straight for the battery research. The wind turbine's my only source at the moment, and so when the wind drops, my power goes. So a battery will store some power for me so that, my fridge doesn't just go the second it does. Later on, batteries are also really useful for you can just check when your power system's, like if your battery's not full, then something's not quite right somewhere in the power system, it's draining somewhere, and you need to work out whether you need more power or whether some raiders have blown up one of your power circuits. Yeah, this shell is really bugging me. Like, what is this? What even is this? And it says, like, you can destroy it. But, I mean, at this stage, it's not a big priority, but we'll get to it. Right, is anyone actually researching? Oh, no. Who can do researching? Oh, it's Rebecca again. Of course it's Rebecca, because it's always Rebecca. Rebecca is the queen, the one who can do everything. Gumpy, what are you good for? I mean, come on. It's another transport pod crash. I've already got one person from a transport pod crash. I've only got 2 colonists. What am I doing? Oh, that's quite nearby though. Alright, we need another sleeping spot. We're not up to fancy things like beds yet or anything cray-cray like that. Always worth checking how long they've got health-wise, because some of them you might need to do the new thing you can do in Rimworld, which is actually take medicine to them and treat them in the field, which is really important. Because sometimes transport pod crash victims, very hard to say, are really far away from your base and have got 2 hours left to live. Like, run! They don't always work out. Like, sometimes it's like they just get up and leave, but usually even then it'll give you better relationships with the colony that they're from, who will be happy to see them. But sometimes they decide to stay. And at this point where you've got... Ooh, quest available, Shy the Destitute. Hey, I wonder what that quest is. Okay, so this is one of those where people who are fleeing will stay and work for you for a bit, and then they'll leave. Now, that can go a couple of ways, because sometimes it just works out great. Sometimes they're really grateful that you took them in when you needed them, and after they've gone they give you other things. And sometimes they turn on you and try and destroy your entire colony, and that's a bit of a problem. But as I was just saying, at this point I'm so desperate for colonists. So Shy's not there permanently, he's just here to help out for a bit. Luckily he's of the same belief system, which makes things nice and easy, straightforward. So we're now Gumpy and Rebecca, who at one point, remember, I thought I was going to lose. I was pretty sure that was it. That was the colony done for. They are now looking after 2 transport pod crash victims who aren't contributing anything to the colony. They're healing them, they're feeding them out of the kindness of their heart. They've also taken in a refugee, Shy, who said, hey, I'll help out. So come the dawn, in fact he's doing stuff now. Look at him mining away, getting those bedrooms going. So as we leave at the end of this first hour, I was just genuinely, I didn't know that was going to happen. And like, as we leave them at the end of this first hour, things are looking up. But oh no, here's a raid.